think the beeping is my husband's smoker. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are here in the Cultivating Sanctuary Facebook group with relationship coach and author D. Grant Smith. He is the relationship growth farmer, and we're so glad you're here. So welcome tonight.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you inviting me here.
And as Dee is going to share with us three tips to grow a healthy relationship, not just a romantic kind, we're going to explore all different types of relationships. So put your questions and your comments below and we will get to them before our time together is over. So we're going to wait a minute. If you're watching the replay, welcome to you as well. Go ahead and skip to the 2-minute mark of this video. And while we do that, I'm going to check the Facebook group, make sure our stream has made it. And while we do that, I have to ask you, Dee, you are in Abilene, Texas, right?
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. My sister went there, and so I had spent some time there, and I had some friends that went there. And back in the early 2000s, the thing to do was go to Chick-fil-A in the mall, I believe. What other fun things are there to do in Abilene?
I've not heard anybody say the thing to do in Abilene is to go to Chick-fil-A in the mall.
I know.
That's the first.
That was also like 2003, so it's been a long time.
Well, I've been in Abilene since 2000. There's a whole lot more to do now than there was back when I was in college. We've kind of got this like mini Austin that's kind of emerging. There's been some small microbrewers that have emerged. There's some great restaurants. There's kind of a whole live music scene that's really emerged in the past several years. That's been building actually for quite some time. We're actually attracting some more chain restaurants, which is really cool. We've got a really strong young professionals group within like the chamber. So young people are graduating and they're not moving off immediately to Dallas or Houston like they used to. They're sticking around and starting families and stuff. And so what is the coolest thing to do in Abilene? Well, when COVID's over, it'll be, the Paramount and our new restaurant stuff that we've got going on. Some cool microbrewers like Sock Gallagher and Peppy Slocum. Live music, and really just hanging out with people. People over here are super friendly. So if you ever want to come to Abilene, look me up. I'll show you around.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Microbreweries are so cool. They're so neat to tour and hear the story of their brand and what makes their brew different than others. That's so cool how those are popping up now. We're having some of those pop up around our neck of the woods also.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear Abilene has come a long way since 2003.
We have evolved. Mm-hmm. There's still a church on every corner, and there's still a very heavy sort of religious, dogmatic attitude. But mm-hmm. There's a lot of that's even lifting off too, and people are becoming more and more open-minded to new ways of thinking and even new ways of like connecting with God on a spiritual level.
That is so cool. So neat. We want to welcome Eric. Hi, Eric. Good to be with you. Eric is with us and Melody is with us. And feel free to put your comments and questions in the comment thread. And we're here again. My pleasure to have with us relationship coach D. Grant Smith coming to us from Abilene, Texas. And let's go ahead and dive into, before we dive into the tips, let's dive into what are some core issues that start to hurt relationships, not just romantic kind, but different kinds of relationships.
Yeah. So all of us have some very core beliefs that stem from childhood that impact our relationship with ourselves. It impacts our relationship with God, and both of those two things being the core relationships that you have, then that bleeds over into everything else. Bleeds over into your relationships with your family, to your relationships with your friends, to your relationships with your significant other when you have one, if you have one. It bleeds over into your relationships with your community, with your work, everything. So really, one of our jobs as humans in our process of becoming the best version of ourselves is to, I'm going to use some new agey terms. I hope that's cool. Based on everything I've read from your book, that should be all right.
Totally encouraged.
Got to go talk to your 5-year-old self. You got to go talk to your inner child, and like be the parent for yourself, because our parents did the best that they could, but they were dealing with their own emotional core issues too, and maybe they didn't even know. I think that's part of it. Like I'm pretty sure my parents don't know that they have worthiness issues, because it's like that's never been brought to their attention. We don't have conversations about that stuff. The psychology of it hasn't come into play, but the patterns of it come out all over the place. And worthiness leads to, if you're a big-hearted person and you're taught, especially in church, like give, like if you're taught that love is about serving people more than you serve yourself, or giving to people more than you give to yourself, which is an ass backwards way of loving people, that creates this codependency where you're undervaluing yourself, and you've convinced yourself, you have this belief that God wants you to do more for other people and give more and become this subservient person, and that's what earns you your right to be loved back. And it's such a backwards, dysfunctional, unhealthy way of living your life. So the root core issue of worthiness, or whether or not you're good enough, or whether or not you're enough, we need to address that. We need to have the conversation with our inner child, and we need to remind the 5-year-old version of us that built these beliefs from a young age, and that's carried over with us. We need to do that healing. And when we start doing that healing, the thing that you do to heal yourself is the same. All of us, like, I mean, I work with couples, and I work with individuals. I work with people that, actually, I work with a lot of people that are in counseling and therapy. Like they are the therapists, and they are the counselors. And one of the things that they struggle with is they know they have issues, but they don't feel like they should be. They feel like they should have it all together because they're helping other people. And ultimately that comes down to a worthiness thing, because I should have all this stuff together, but I've got to put on this mask. I'm not worthy, and so then it bleeds over into things. But you have to address your inner child, and everybody that has this, and all of us do. It's simple. It's just love. And so instead of seeking out validation, seeking out love from somebody else so that you feel worthy, so that you feel loved, you give that to yourself. Instead of trying to prove something to somebody else that you are worthy of love. And I did that for 3 years. I chased a girl for 3 years trying to prove my worth to her. Yeah, I'm so glad that relationship failed. That would have been terrible if we would have taken that into some sort of other place. But the key is love. You love yourself. You get your love from your source, which is God, and you give it to yourself, and you practice on yourself. So this isn't one of my tips, but it's just a great piece of wisdom. Like, you want to know how to love other people? Practice on yourself. Does it feel good when you compliment yourself? Yes, it feels great. Okay, well, now you know that it feels good when you compliment somebody else, when you notice something awesome about them. Does it feel good when you're with somebody that's fully paying attention to you and they're not distracted by cell phones? Oh yes, that feels good. It feels like they actually care. Like you're the only person in the room. You feel like $1 million. Okay, well, I'm going to practice on myself. I'm going to actually focus on what I want to do. I think I flipped that around backwards, but still, like, you give yourself the love that you want to receive, and you practice that. And ultimately, that's what self-love is. Self-love is practicing the act of being love. Love is who you are. Practicing that's what self-love is. And then that just bleeds over and flows over into your relationships.
And then you attract that which you are at your core. And when you are loving and loved, and you feel loved, you start to attract those that will give you the same thing and have the same thing for themselves.
Exactly.
That's so powerful. So that's a huge core issue, the worthiness that starts to tear at relationships, professional, platonic, friendships, romantic, parent-child, right? Any sort of
Yeah.
relationship.
So one of the issues, and this is something that I struggled with for 35 years, and let's just be clear. Everybody has a struggle that they're working through in life. Like that whole life is a journey, not a destination. Nobody's arrived yet. Nobody. I did this 4-day Unleash the Power Within conference with Tony Robbins a weekend and
Nice.
not last weekend, but the weekend before. Okay. Even Tony Robbins, the world's most renowned life coach, charges $1 million if you want to coach with him. Okay. By the way, he has 0 life coaching certification. He was denied by the 2 main life coaching schools. So if you're interested in having somebody coach you in life, but you are convinced that you need to work with somebody that has a certification, it's all bullshit. It has to be, because the #1 guy in the world doesn't have any certifications. Actually, he's created his own school, and so he just writes his name on stuff. I certified myself for this, so it works. But Tony Robbins said there were 30,000 people in this conference, all online. He's working through his own stuff too. So if that guy hasn't arrived, then all of us haven't arrived. And what that means to me is it's okay for me to still be becoming aware of codependent issues and still be working through that. It's not like, well, I had this problem and I became aware of this problem and then I did these 3 steps and now I don't struggle with it anymore. That's a crock of crap. I still recognize codependent tendencies in me. I'm just more aware of it now, and I'm in a much better relationship that I can address this openly and honestly and work through it instead of feeling shame about it and then hiding myself even more. So the codependent thing is such a big deal for people that struggle with, especially people that struggle with worthiness, and that you're naturally empathetic. I'm a naturally empathetic person. So caring about other people, being considerate, being kind, being gentle, that's just natural to me. But also, I spent 35 years in a people-pleasing place where I was so worried about what other people thought about me. And I would bend over backwards and try to just do things for other people to try to make them happy or make them be happy, because I felt like their happiness was my responsibility. And I got really uncomfortable if everybody wasn't cool. I tried to make it my responsibility to make everybody cool, but it's not my responsibility. So it really does come down to love. And I was going to say a minute ago, hopefully this won't fly over too many people's head, but the secret, even in the book, the secret is, cue the 80s love theme from Back to the Future. It's the power of love.
It's a good movie. Yeah. Definitely. Wow. So, what are these practical tips that we can add to our lives now that we know the core issue?
So, I'm very big on simplicity. I'm also very big on a keyword. You see it on just about everything that has my name on it, and it's the most simple word, I think, in any language. It's the first word, the first verb that you learn how to conjugate in any foreign language. It's the word be. And to be is a statement of being. Obviously, it's a statement of being to be, but we don't really spend a lot of time thinking about the depth of that. To be is to be present. And also, it's a statement of identity. So, all of my tips have to do with your state of being, about you embodying love in these 3 ways. If you want to know a simple way to heal yourself, different people have different methods for this. One of the biggest things that's healed me is empowering affirmations. Statements of declarations, statements of truth that you repeat to yourself over and over again to change your beliefs and to reprogram your mindset, especially going from a place of feeling like you're unworthy, shifting over into a place of worthiness is shifting over into a place of empowerment and changing your self-talk. So for me, my self-talk is I am all the great qualities of God that I want to be aligned with and I want to be a part of me. So I am love. It's not just that I feel love. It's not just that I want love. It's not just that I hope to have that one day. No. I am love. Love is me. Love lives inside of me. I am one with love. I am peace. I am joy. I am the best version of myself. And I say these affirmations over and over again. So I'm saying all this stuff just to really get that, like, when I talk about be, I'm talking about make this a part of your being so that you get so good at doing this, you do it without thinking. And then that's one of the easiest ways for it to just replicate itself into every relationship that you have. So the first one is be clear in your communication. What's one of the most foundational pieces of any relationship? Communication. Because if you can't be clear in what it is that you're expressing, whether that's with your words or with your body language or with your behavior or with something that you want to communicate in some sort of other fashion, then you think you're reading the same book as other people, but you're not. You think you're reading the same book and you're on the same page, but you're not. You're reading different books in different languages. So it's really a matter of like thinking about it. And empathy is a really, really powerful way to do this. But like, if you don't spend any time writing, if you don't spend any time journaling, it's going to be really hard for you to get good at communication. Because again, self-love is practicing love with yourself, taking your thoughts that are up here and translating them out on paper and then going back and reading that. The more you do that, the more clarity you have on who you are and what you're going through, and you can ask yourself questions and find answers and understand yourself more, but you also see things about your communication. And it improves your handwriting. That's a very practical thing. But like,
Yeah.
but it really is about being aware of your words, being aware of your actions. Your actions communicate things too. Your behaviors communicate things. Your attitudes communicate things. And then all these things, like, what are you saying with your actions, your attitudes, and your behaviors? Be clear in your communication. And then also be mindful of the fact that the only person in the world that has access to your brain and what's going on in it is you. So if you expect people to read your mind and like, connect the dots on our own, we're not going to do that, man. We might be confused, and not everybody's going to ask you for clarification. People that love you will, because they want to know you, because they're being fully present, but some people won't. So you want to be love, and you want to have healthy relationships. Be clear in your communication and practice what that looks like.
Is there any type of relationship that is good that there is a disclaimer or an exception, or I don't think so, but I'm just throwing it out there that if it's different, if that advice lands differently for any type of relationship. I don't think it does, but I'm not the relationship growth farmer.
Touche.
Touche.
Actually, I don't even know if that's an appropriate touche moment. This is something, okay, clear communication. Perfect example. Thank you so much for bringing this up. So I've been misusing the word touche for 25 years. I didn't know that. I was hanging out with a couple buddies, and they'd make a smart, witty remark, and I'd be like, "Oh, touche." Well, I was using the word wrong, but nobody told me. So I keep misusing the word over and over and over again around my best friend, who's kind of a word nerd. Yeah, he's a word nerd, and he didn't tell me.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. I was rather upset by that when I found out that I've been using it wrong this entire time.
Yeah.
My communication was off, but nobody told me.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't want to upset me, or they didn't want to offend me, or they didn't want me to feel stupid. So instead, I got to feel stupid around a 16-year-old that I was hanging out with, who was like, "I don't think you're using this word right." And I'm like, "I'm pretty sure I'm using it right. I've been hanging out with some people that have doctorates and different things, and they would have corrected me if I would have been wrong."
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't clear in my communication, but neither were they,
Mm-hmm.
in addressing the fact that, hey, dude, like, future reference, this isn't actually how you use that word.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't get actually brought to my attention in the correct form until I was with, somebody that's much younger than me, which was kind
Mm-hmm.
of an embarrassing thing, but I didn't take it too personally.
Yeah. Yeah, that was wise of you for sure. Yeah. Wow. I hope I'm using it in the right way, that it has the connotations of a rebuttal is being offered, or a counterpoint, or an alternative point of view, and then you
I
excite.
I think it's almost like the way that it was described to me by a friend of mine who is he's a pun master and a linguist of sorts, is
So cool. What a title, Pun Master. That's awesome.
Peter Newbert. If you're watching, Peter is one of the best pun people I've ever known. Um, he said that the origin of the word is French, and it has to do with fencing. So it, like in fencing, it's not it's a matter of like touching with the sword tip, and so
Mm-hmm.
like when you touch with the sword tip and you score the point, that's touche. So it's making a point that kind of comes from a place that you're not expecting it to come from, and
Oh,
yeah. So if any of you guys have been using this word, and you might or might not have been misusing it this entire time, and nobody told you, welcome to the party.
welcome to the party. Yes, yeah, I'm so excited now. Thank you, Peter Newbert.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, pardon my dog who's decided to play chase the ball by herself around the living room. Awesome. So our first tip is to be clear in our communication. What is our second tip to build healthy relationships, regardless of the type of relationship?
Well, if you've heard, and you probably have, obviously the cultivating sanctuary, you've heard the teaching of Jesus, love your neighbor as yourself. That's basically empathy in a more holy description. So empathy is you doing that whole thing where you choose to uh, not you choose to walk a mile in somebody else's moccasins before you try to levy any sort of criticism or judgment or assumption. And actually, if you're really, really smart and you're really, really, really wise and you actually care about other people and you care about yourself, you just do away with judgment and criticism and assumptions anyways. But all the same,
Sounds lovely.
stepping into somebody else's shoes and thinking about things from somebody else's perspective is practicing empathy. So be empathetic, in particular through compassion and kindness. Now there is a difference between compassion and kindness. Compassion is more of offering sympathy and an emotive feeling of being willing to just come alongside somebody and lift them up, especially if they're feeling down or if they're going through something difficult, and being a source of empowerment, being a source of encouragement, being a safe haven, being a safe place. And I mean, and compassion is also different than pity. So let's just be very clear about that. More along the lines of sympathy. And kindness. And kindness is another word that gets misinterpreted, I think, a lot. One of the things that I work with people that go through my coaching program, and learning how to love yourself, one of the first things we do is we study kindness. We study what that means. Because especially if you're trying to heal inner child wounds, all of us that have feelings of unworthiness, we spend a lot of time beating ourselves up. Our self-talk is really, really harsh. It's like a Quentin Tarantino movie. Like we're just ripping the crap out of ourselves all the time.
That is such a great description. It really is totally a Quentin Tarantino movie for sure. We
Both,
are.
both in language and in violence. We're just like
Yes.
we're very like anti us and very intense, and that's why self-love is the most powerful medication, because it is the antithesis of all that stuff. But what what has to happen is we have to take kindness, what it really is, and we have to apply it to our own hearts. And that is the opposite of what kindness gets often thought of. Oftentimes people think that to be kind is to be nice. And I want to assert and submit to you that nice is weak ass.
That needs to be on a t-shirt or at least a bumper sticker somewhere.
Nice is politeness without a backbone. Because when you put nice people into a place where they're around difficult people, that niceness escapes quickly and it turns into something else. But somebody that's full of kindness, the type of person, and even sometimes the type of situation, as long as it's not violating their personal space or violating their own sense of self-love, they'll still be kind. So kindness is a matter of giving a gentle, nurturing love, regardless of situation or circumstance. And that's why one of the first things we have to do if we're going to practice self-love is, especially when we're in a vulnerable place of heartbreak or loss, you give yourself compassion, but you also give yourself kindness. And you choose not to operate from a place of like Quentin Tarantino film version of I'm going to beat the crap out of myself with my own self-talk and my own violence and my own negative beliefs. And instead, I'm going to operate from a place of, okay, how would a loving mother treat me in this situation? How would a loving, like Papa Bear father treat me in this situation? With gentle kindness and compassion. So you want to foster healthy relationships with anybody, especially with family. Operate from a place of empathy and be compassionate and be kind.
Wow, that's so. I'm just having this picture of Inglorious Bastards where the swastika is being carved into the guy's forehead and thinking that is a great analogy for our negative self-talk and how we need to do the opposite and practice self-compassion and self-kindness. Yeah, that is there any relationship any other type of relationship that there needs to be an exception or a disclaimer or anything else added from your perspective as a relationship coach?
Well, I think that awareness is really important, and part of this is something just to be really, really clear and honest. Awareness is key for everything. Like, and that's something that we grow into because, especially as an empathic person, um, an empathetic person. I'm a very empathetic person. I'm also a very empathic person, so I can literally feel the emotions of other people in the room. And sometimes it takes me a minute to discern, oh wait, this sudden fear and anxiety isn't mine. This is somebody else's in the room. Like, okay, well, good to know that so that I'm not owning somebody else's stuff, but like being aware that there's somebody in here that's really struggling with this so that I can empathetically give them compassion and kindness. I think it's not necessarily that there's an exception, but it is important to be aware, like if in a certain situation or circumstance, whether that's with your friends or that's with your family or that's even with your significant other or that's with somebody in the community, something that violates your personal space or violates your personal set of boundaries, that's when you turn it and you're like, okay, I'm going to give myself compassion and I'm going to give myself kindness, and I'm certainly not going to try to overextend myself. And under no there's how do I say this? Under no circumstance is it ever healthy to try to be somebody's hero. Mm-hmm. And so if you've got a tendency of trying to come to the rescue of other people, you're kind of practicing another version of codependency. Like you need to be the hero that everybody's turned to come and save the day. And what that does is it creates a victim. Mm-hmm. And that hero victim thing, that's only going to go on for so long until somebody becomes the villain.
Yeah.
And once you become the villain, now you've got a completely different dynamic that's going on. And then there's a really, really, really good chance that relationship's going to go south. Mm-hmm. Not south to the South Pole, like south to hell in a handbag. Yeah.
Oh, that's so true. I have been a very passionate hero that became a very passionately, intensely angry villain.
Welcome to the party.
Right? Yeah, totally. Totally. Man, that really lands well. That's really helpful. And what is our third practical tip to build healthy relationships, regardless of the type of relationship?
Well, I've got a story for this one. I think
Okay.
it'll be really easy to kind of transition in. Earlier this year in February, I went to a retreat for life coaches because I wanted to level up my game, and it was one of the best experiences I've had. It was with two guys, two very well respected life coaches. So one of them's name, or it's AJ Amix and Jonathan Heston. I was in Uprising 5. If you get a chance to do Uprising, absolutely go do it. It's well worth it. I went to my girlfriend's house, and I was there hanging out until I knew I needed to be in the east side of Dallas at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. What I did though was I miscalculated the drive time, and so I left later than I should have, which meant that instead of getting there at 4 o'clock like I was supposed to, like I said I would, I got there at close to 5:30 or 6. And I messaged AJ on my way out, and I was like, hey man, I'm gonna be late because there was crazy traffic. Of course there's crazy traffic in Dallas. Why didn't I see that coming? Because I'm from Abilene? No, whatever.
Right.
So AJ knew that I was running late. And I had never met AJ face to face. We had a couple conversations together. We were Facebook friends. That was the extent of our relationship up to that point. So my introduction to him, we met outside, just he and I, outside of the house that we were staying at for this event. And he gave me a hug, welcomed me to the thing, and then like right away he's like, well, you were supposed to be here at 4. It's 5:30. You did not act with integrity. And I was like kind of thrown off, like, wow, that's pretty harsh, dude. Like, right out of the gate, you're telling me that I don't have integrity. And he was exactly right. And I learned in that experience what integrity actually is. It's not just doing the right thing when nobody else is looking. It's following through on what you say you're going to do because you said you were going to do it. And it doesn't matter what your reasons are, because that ends up just being a bunch of excuses. It's you being who you say you're going to be, and you doing what you say you're going to do, and you throwing all of the excuses and reasons out the window. So what is the third tip? It's be fully present with integrity. And I think those two things go together. I'm very big on there being kind of a 1-2 punch. If you've read my book, you understand the correlation there. But
I love all the boxing metaphors in your book. Be solid. Yeah.
Thanks. So one of the things that everybody struggles with this, myself included, distractions with social media. And you can get a notification for every freaking thing under the sun on your phone. And so it's like, it's the phone has become our second umbilical cord. It's a psychological umbilical cord. It's a application, like in terms of us actually doing things, umbilical cord, and it is a gigantic distraction umbilical cord. And it's the thing that, for the most part, keeps us from being fully present with ourselves, with God, with other people. With if you got kids, it keeps you from being fully present with your kids. Go to any civic event. Go to a concert. People aren't watching the show. They're trying to film the show with their camera. They're looking at that thing. Or they're trying to take a picture of them with that thing in the background, and then they're trying to post it to social media in the moment. It's like, dude, enjoy the moment. Be in the moment. Be present in the moment. And if you say you're going to do something, fully show up as yourself. If you say you're going to be somewhere, don't just be there on time. Bring your whole self there. Be fully present there. That's what integrity is. Do that. Just be present with the people that you're around. Put your phone in your pocket or leave it in your car. Hell, leave it at home. Do that. I promise you'll impress the crap out of everybody there, because nobody Nobody's fully present, hardly. You be that person, the most uncommon person in the whole world. Everybody feels like they're worth $1 million because you have their undivided attention and they have your undivided attention. And no, there's not an exception to where you doing that doesn't make you a rock star in somebody's world.
Yeah, I remember you sharing that story from the uprising and how it was very shaping to you and taking ownership for other moments in your past and in your future and taking ownership and living from integrity. I'm in the online version of the uprising and called Project Shift. And instead of everything, and as we've talked before, instead of everything being in a 3-day event, it's spread out over 12 weeks all online. And I could not fathom doing all the deep work we've been doing in 12 weeks in 3 days. I have so much respect for anyone who's gone through the live event of Uprising because it is deep, hard work.
There's a lot that we didn't get to.
Okay.
There's a whole lot that we didn't get to because we get to the end of the day, it'd be like almost midnight, and AJ would be like, well, we didn't act, we kind of got about half to 3/4 of the way through the stuff we were going to talk about today. There's a bunch of stuff we didn't get to, but it's okay. We'll try to figure out how to work it in tomorrow. Then the next day we would just get further behind. But it's a ton of awesome stuff. But yeah, we didn't get everything. So you're actually getting everything.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And we are actually on this week about, actually last week, we just wrapped it up, but we're still talking about this idea of integrity. And the additional definition that we are learning goes back also to your first step of being clear. And that is that integrity also means when an agreement or an arrangement no longer serves you, that being in integrity is speaking that truth. So you are living in alignment with that truth, with your truth. And I can think of so many times working in the nonprofit ministry world, which I know you were a part of too. And I'm sure it spills over also, I think, in the Christian music industry, which I know is also in your background, that there's so many, was I right on that? Is that part of your story, Christian music?
Not exactly. I spent 22 years working in radio, but yeah.
Well, in the Christian ministry nonprofit world, I can think of so many times when an arrangement, whether it was with a volunteer or a paid minister, it was no longer serving. It was no longer aligned with the person's gifts or the person's schedule or the person's calling. And out of the principle of Christian niceness, as we talked about also earlier in this video, they were never clear with speaking from integrity and saying this arrangement that worked 2 years ago isn't in line with who I am, what I'm called to do right now. So so that your third tip is being fully present with integrity. That's
being fully present. Yeah.
Yeah. We had one question and that's come up, and it's from Melody.
Hey, Melody. Good to see you.
And she is asking, I didn't know there was a difference between being empathic and empathetic. I thought it was a difference in semantics only. I had to learn this as well. There is a big difference because I think all the real empaths out there, great question, Melody. Sorry, I should have said that. And I should let Dee speak to this, but I had to learn the difference because I think all the true empaths get really annoyed when everyone and their dog is like, I'm an empath. It's like, no, you're just a highly empathetic person. There's a difference. So sorry, go on. I learned it the hard way. Melody says hi, Dee.
Hey, Melody. I'm not sure if we get. I can't speak for everybody. I try not to get offended. By things.
So healthy of you. So healthy.
Well, read the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. The 4th one is don't take anything personally. Wayne Dyer has a teaching called Rule Number 6. I can tell you the story behind that in a second if you want to, but The essence of rule number 6 is don't take yourself so personally. Don't take yourself so seriously.
Mhm.
So practicing that, and I'm not the best at it. I've spent a long time taking myself way too seriously. But all that to say, on the subject of empath versus empathetic, empathic people are are highly sensitive on average. And by sensitive, that means like our sensitivities for other people, like we can become emotional fairly quickly, and it's not a weakness. I spent a long time some childhood emotional wounds and other things where like it was almost like indoctrinated in me that like for a guy to cry and to show a sensitive side was a weakness. It's not. Your tears are it's like a river that washes you clean and washes your heart out,
Mhm.
especially when you're grieving. Like it's part of the washing process, part of getting all that stuff out and making you clean, um, cleaning your heart and cleaning your soul out.
Mhm.
Empathetic people, for us to feel the emotions of other people and feel the weight of that, like it's something that we literally feel inside of us. Like
Mhm.
it's sensing the emotional um, platform, the emotional place, the emotional state of being for someone else, and feeling it as though it's actually happening to yourself. And it takes discernment to be able to understand when whatever you're feeling isn't from yourself, it's from somebody else. And the reason why we have this gift, one of the reasons why I know I have this gift is I'm, I guess in church lingo, I'm called to intercede. So my sensitivity, part of the reason why I do coaching, is God. I'm just a microphone. I spent, like I said, I spent 22 years in broadcast media, where I used a microphone to convey messages. Now God uses me to convey messages. So I get to feel I get to feel the feelings of other people, not just their pain, but also their joy. I get to feel the feelings of other people so that I can be a conduit. I can be a microphone for that, for the love of God out into the world, and I can understand more from the people that I need to be speaking this to, and that I'm called to speak this to, because I can literally feel what it is that they're feeling and
Mhm.
speak directly to that. And that's different than having a strong sense of compassion that an empathetic person would have towards somebody else that might feel sorry, they might feel pity, they might feel sympathy, and be willing to show compassion and show empathy of sorts, or show sympathy of sorts, but they're not actually emotionally feeling the weight that other people are carrying.
Is that helpful, Melanie? Would you like him to unpack a little further while we wait to hear back from her? I would add to it, because if from my experience doing work around human design and learning that I am sacral, that there are we too are capable of holding space within us that is the emotional energy of another, but it is in no way to the extreme of an empath. And so, and is that safe to say that it's just when before you polish that gift or know when to turn it off and on, it naturally is just there for empaths, right? And at first that can be overwhelming and confusing. Whereas does that make sense? Do I understand it right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of it is an on-off switch, to be
Okay.
honest with you. Um, here's a story to just really drive home like how intense this can be. Uh, Most of us that are over the age of 25, maybe 26, maybe even older than that, um, went through driver's ed to get our driver's license across the
Hmm.
country, right? So
Yeah.
so in driver's ed, one of the things you have to do, aside from parallel park and drive around a parking lot and park in the right parking spaces, you have to watch a video on the last day. That's the drunk driving video. It's the we're gonna scare the crap out of you so you don't drink beer and drive at the same time. We want to
It's
we want to
very scary. Yeah, I
we
remember
want
that.
we want to indoctrinate you and scare
Hmm.
the crap out of you so that you won't do this. All right. I couldn't watch that video,
Mm.
and one of the things that, and I still struggle with this to an extent, I've gotten a lot better about it, but I also don't do this very often. I try not to watch movies that are excessively violent,
Mhm.
because not only does it kind of gross me out, but like I can get sucked into the story, and I imagine, like I'm feeling what it would feel like to be in that situation. And so while I'm watching these people getting mangled by trains and all kinds of stuff, like I literally was lightheaded, and I kind of blacked out, almost went into like a, you know, fainting sort of weird episode. And
Yeah.
I blamed it on, in driver's ed, I blamed it on eating some bad Fritos.
Mm.
Like I was like, food poisoning or something. But like that was how
Yeah.
it got, but that's really real for me. So like we really do, depending on the nature of your gift, like you can feel other people's feelings, or you can get so sucked into the story of what's going on, where like you are literally, like your imagination is keyed in, and like feeling the feelings, feeling the trauma, the emotions, the weight of everything, as though it's happening to you.
Yeah. That's a great description. Well, I am so thankful that you're wired the way that you're wired, and it is obvious that it has served and is serving lots of people as you write books and speak and coach. So, how can our friends joining us on this Facebook Live, how can they stay in touch with you and the great healing work you're doing?
Well, tell you what, I like giving things away, because I like giving things away. So if you're watching this, I'd love to give you a PDF copy of my book for free, because give is give. So Meg, you've read the book, and you can testify to whether or not it's worth anybody's time or not.
Definitely worth your time.
I know that it is, but I don't like talking myself up in a prideful way. I know it's a book that'll change your life if you let it.
Yeah.
Melody's read the book. I think she'd say the same thing. I'll give you a free PDF copy. All you have to do is message me. We're on Facebook. You've tagged me in this video. Send me a message and say, hey, dude, hook me up. And if you want to start a conversation and build a relationship, do that too. I'd love the opportunity to talk with you. Here's what I'm also going to do. I will take a list, or I'll kind of compile a list of everybody that has gotten a free ebook, and I will draw one person out of that hat, and I'll send you a free paperback copy. So let's let the giving happen. And if you want to follow what I'm doing, just follow me on Facebook. I do videos at least once or twice, sometimes more than that, per week. Everything I talk about is about love and relationships. So, and that's love and relationships in every type of relationship. It's often you say love and everybody thinks you're automatically talking about romance. Yes, you can apply this to romance, but you can also apply it to your family and your kids and your friends, and your boss and your neighbor down the street.
Yeah, definitely.
Your Facebook friends.
Mm-hmm. Well, this has been such a gift. So thank you so much for your time tonight, and I'm so excited for the people that are going to watch this at any time and message you and take advantage of a free copy of your book, Be Solid, which really helped me to embrace all of my emotions, and which is hard when you're raised in a very holy roller-esque culture to embrace all your emotions. And your book, Be Solid, subtitle How to Go Through Hell and Back, and
How to Go Through Hell and Come Out Whole.
there it is. Such a beautiful title. How to Go Through Hell and Come Out Whole. Yes,
So,
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love your love of words. It's so good. So good.
Thank you.
Sweet. Well, thank you again. And for our friends watching, get a hold of his book, especially if it's for free. What a gift. It'll enhance your life for sure. So thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Appreciate you.